Welcome to the RGLT Economics. Today I want to discuss the news that new weapons, including depleted uranium bombs and cluster bombs, are being sent to Ukraine. In fact, a lot of people speculate that these bombs are already in Ukraine and they will be used in the immediate future. Anyway, this is a very troubling development because we know that these weapons are quite controversial and they are more useful at killing civilians than killing military personnel. But either way, especially with depleted uranium bombs, they make the land unusable and inarable, or is it unarable, for centuries. So it is very dangerous. And since they have sent these bombs to Ukraine, I am certain that they intend to use it. And we could possibly see them being used upon civilians. So this is extremely troubling. Now, I don't want to make too many comments on just how horrible this is, because we know that wars are horrible and people do horrible things. But I want to talk about just what I think this means from the side of the Western powers. And I also want to talk about this in the context of the banking situation, especially that in Europe. First, this, I think, shows a strong commitment to war. I think just as the Polish ambassador to France said on television that if Ukraine is to be defeated, and indeed I think what he wanted to say, that what he really wanted to say is that to prevent Ukraine from being defeated, Europe needs to join the effort, the war effort, more directly, that they need to participate in this war. And I think there is a very strong voice within Europe, especially in Eastern Europe and in Britain, that are calling for war. And I think there is also, well, obviously they make it very clear that in the United States there is a strong political class that really want war. And obviously we can't leave out the weapons manufacturers who can greatly greatly profit from any war. Now, I think that the American troops probably won't, let's not say probably, but maybe won't join themselves. But it is at this point highly likely, in my judgment, that within 24 months, that some of the Eastern European countries, notably the Baltic nations and Poland, may actually be involved. And exactly whether this will happen depends on the election results in the next few months and perhaps this year and next year. So elections at this point, I think, is very important in these countries and across the Pacific in the United States. Very important. So that's a commitment to war. And I think this also shows that they are doubling down. There are some people who are thinking maybe they would pull back. And I heard on the Duran, the commentators who made the... maybe it's not on the Duran, but somewhere I heard people say that perhaps the banking situation, especially given the fact that the policies that has been followed by the U.S. government and the continual rate hikes and the way that the Credit Suisse basically acquisition was handled, as I also made commented, these basically make it very likely that more banks will fail. And I think these people, some people made a suggestion that perhaps that these banks are made to fail, so that it creates a camouflage for the Western powers to pull out of Ukraine. I think, on the contrary, I think it is the camouflage is not that the banks create a camouflage for them to pull out, but because that would implies that they planned on making the banks fail. But I think it's rather the opposite, that they didn't want the banks to fail, and they didn't want to have the war deteriorate to the situation as they are. But as the banks fail, more banks fail, the situation become less and less controllable. So it's the economic situation, and then the social and political situation in a lot of countries will be less and less stable, and this would require them to commit to foreign wars in order to divert the attention and divert the domestic problems to focus on a foreign enemy. I think that is much more likely, given my understanding, or perhaps a very flawed understanding at that. So there is that, and there is a third point that I wanted to make, but give me a second. Let me see if I can remember that. Well, it appears that I can't really remember what the last point that I wanted to make was. So I'll just stop here and make this a very quick one. Thanks for listening, and have a great day.